Hi, I wanted to make this video because I've been thinking. And this time I've been thinking about aging. So the reason I've been thinking about aging is because I think I'm getting better with age, and that wasn't what I was expecting when I was younger. So I'm wondering why I didn't know that getting older was going to be something to look forward to, rather than something to worry about. I don't know if I ever heard anyone say that getting older was great, so I want to know whether I'm just deluded or whether getting older really is something that people can look forward to. So it seems like a good subject to think about a bit more, because there really isn't anyone that it doesn't affect, at least not yet. Um, I think people generally seem to be a bit scared about aging and assume that things will only get worse as they get older. And I think I've been told at every age milestone that it's all downhill from now. But so far, that hasn't been my experience. So I thought I'd make a video to look at aging in a bit more detail and to try and find out what it is that's making it a positive experience for me, and whether there are any tips or secrets to share to help other people look forward to getting older too. So I don't think we hear enough stories about how getting older might be fun. So I thought it would be nice to share some positive experiences about aging, in the hope of encouraging other people to look forward to it. I wish I'd known that I could look forward to getting older when I was younger, but I assumed that it would be bad, so I tried not to think about it. But it makes perfect sense to me now that people can get better with age, so I think we should be celebrating that a bit more. So I've been trying to think of all the ways that I'm different now compared to when I was younger, so that I can really test out if things are better or worse now that I'm older. So I'll start with the obvious one, in that I don't look like I'm 20 anymore, but I don't think I look worse than when I was 20. I know I look different, but I like to think more distinguished. I look like a woman in her 50s, and that's exactly what I am. My fitness is probably better than it was when I was younger, because I know how to take more care of myself now than I used to. My personality and my outlook on life, I think, are better now than when I was younger. I'm less wrapped up in myself and I've got more to give to others. I'm more appreciative of the good things in my life, and that leads me to be happier. And I would say I'm definitely happier now than when I was younger. I'm not rich, but I do have more money now than when I was younger. At times in my life, I barely had enough money to get through the week, so having enough to not be worrying feels like a real luxury that I really appreciate and enjoy. I would say I'm more resilient now than I used to be, so I'm better at coping with life's ups and downs. And the now version of me has a much higher threshold for what I actually view as a challenge. So I'd say it takes a lot more to ruffle my feathers now than it used to, which means that I'm a calmer person than I used to be. I find that I say, oh well, quite a lot now. I'm better at managing my time. I probably get more done and feel less stressed about having a to-do list. I know what can wait and what can't, so I don't really get stressed about what I need to fit into my day. I know that I'll figure it out somehow. And I used to get quite overwhelmed, when I was younger. So I think having more life experience helps with all of those things. I've got a better sense of what's important to me, so I think I make better decisions. I also think I'm better at helping other people because of all the experiences that I've had. I can usually offer something helpful when someone needs some advice. It is actually one of the things that's been driving me to start this channel. I don't want to waste all that life experience when I might be able to use it to help other people. So, if everything gets better as we get older, why don't we celebrate it a bit more? I mean, I guess there must come a point where things stop getting better, and maybe we tend to put all the focus on that. But actually, we really don't know when or if that might happen. So why not enjoy what we do know, that plenty of things really do get better with age? Actually, I've just thought of something that can fall into the negative category. But I think this one isn't a straight line with getting older. But it is certainly something that doesn't tend to impact younger people as much. And that's the weight of responsibility. I think really that can ebb and flow throughout life, but probably reaches a peak for a lot of people, maybe between the ages of 30 and maybe 60. So if you're younger than that, maybe you can take a moment to appreciate how few responsibilities you probably have, because it most likely won't stay that way. And there can be a lot of responsibilities in life, and they can be quite heavy at times, but I wouldn't necessarily link them with ageing, because really they can happen at any time, depending on your circumstances. You may have dependents, younger or older, or both. You may have a job and a home to keep up with. And those responsibilities often have to come before your own wants and needs. But I guess it's important to remember that generally people want to have those responsibilities and seek them out on purpose. But still, they do take away the freedom of the younger years. Now, I'm at the stage now where I'm moving away from some of those responsibilities, and maybe that's even better than if you've never had any. I've experienced the limitations on my own life because of responsibilities. So it's even more liberating to get that freedom back than if I'd never lost it in the first place. I am sad about my kids growing up and moving on and not needing me like they used to, but that's separate from feeling liberated to have my time back to myself. So maybe another part of the reason that we might fear ageing is because getting older means being closer to death. As humans, we're always quite close to death, really, but there's something a bit more inevitable about it as you get older, and we don't generally like to think about that. I used to avoid thinking about death, but, and I'd feel uncomfortable if anybody raised the subject. But really that all changed a few years ago when my husband had a cardiac arrest in the night and I had to look death right in the face. Thanks to me and a team of paramedics, he didn't stay dead, but my relationship with death changed a lot from that point on. I realise it's probably not nice to hear me say those words, but actually I think allowing yourself to think about death can be quite a motivating thing, and I've found that it's helpful to be able to lose some of the fear that it can hold over you. So maybe my relative peace with the idea of death probably does have an impact on my feelings about ageing. I haven't died yet, and neither of you, so we're blessed to be here to enjoy today. I can't be sad about ageing because it means I'm still here, and I love being here. I hope I'll love being dead too when the time comes. I actually read a book once that said if you're worried about how you'll feel when you're dead, think about how you felt before you were born, because it will probably feel like that. And I find that quite comforting. Anyway, back to the subject of ageing. I've been thinking about each of the decades in my life, and I can see that each decade has brought its own flavour to my life, and they've all brought me to where I am today. So in my 20s, it was all about having fun. I had a steady job and a steady income for the first time, and I discovered the fun of travel, taking lots of holidays and city breaks. The things that used to worry me back then are not part of my life now, like trying not to re-wear the same outfit with the same people, or wondering how I'd get through the day at work with only 2 hours of sleep. And then in my 30s, I had my children, so things became quite different. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed having children because I thought it was going to be awful. But when the reality arrived, I loved it. The lack of sleep was hard at times, and especially in the early years, and the worries about keeping them safe. And my life didn't really belong to me in my 30s, but I loved it anyway, even though I did daydream sometimes about escaping to a hotel on my own just to sit quietly and do nothing. And then in my 40s, the children were a bit older, so I started to get a taste of getting some independence back and was able to start doing things without them. It wasn't such a battle to juggle my time between home and work because the children could be left on their own sometimes. I think it was during my 40s that I started feeling more content with my life. I had a job, a family, and a home, so I felt like I'd achieved a lot, and that helped me to relax a bit. So now I'm in my 50s, and my life is almost my own again. I've got more time to take up new hobbies, like making YouTube videos, and I'm starting to look ahead to my retirement, which will probably be the next big milestone in my life. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling healthy, I've got high hopes that the best times of my life are still ahead. I'm enjoying being able to put more focus on what I want to do, and it's nice seeing my husband being able to do the same. We've started to talk about what else we might want to do in life rather than just trying to get through each day, which is more what it was like in our 30s and 40s. I'd say in my 50s I don't fret about small things anymore because I've got a different perspective on life. And when I sometimes hear what other people are worrying about, I realise how far I've come. I don't judge them because I know that I used to feel like that, but I'm just glad that I've gained the perspective that I have now. I'm enjoying life and I'm also looking forward to the future, so it feels like a really positive time. So I don't know yet what it might feel like being 60 or 70 or 80 if I'm lucky enough to get there, but that's okay. I couldn't have imagined being 50 when I was 20 or 30 or 40. I think the thing to remember is that you'll be a different version of yourself at each stage in your life, and the version you become will be a perfect fit for where you're at when you get there. You probably won't feel sad in your 50s that you aren't doing the same things that you did in your 20s because you won't want to do the same things that you did in your 20s. You'll have different things that you want to do and you'll enjoy doing those things instead. I think you don't need to try and imagine it in advance. You can just trust that everything will work out perfectly when you get there and your life will fit the person that you become. I know that's been my experience so far, and it's also been my parents' experience, and they're obviously a few years ahead of me, so have even more experience to offer. I can remember being in my teens or 20s and vowing that I would never be so boring as all those old people who don't go out in the evenings and just go to bed when there's so many more fun things that they could be doing. And I like the fact that I felt that way when I was younger, but I also like the fact that I don't feel like that now. I still love having fun, but staying up all night isn't the type of fun I like having now. I'm sure the younger version of myself wouldn't agree that what I do now is fun, but it is to me, and she isn't here anymore. What was right for her then isn't right for me now, and what's right for me now probably won't be right for me in the future. And that's okay too. I'll be a different version of myself in the future, and that version of me will also know how to have fun, I'm sure. And I'll look forward to getting to know her when the time comes. So I think what I've learned is that it's safe to focus on now and enjoy doing whatever it is that we enjoy doing now, and also allow ourselves to look forward to the future, because although it won't be the same as now, it'll be a good fit for us when we get there. And we'll have extra wisdom and life experience to enjoy when we get there too. We mustn't obviously ignore our health when we talk about ageing, but for me, it hasn't been a blocker yet for my life getting better with each decade. I have taken some steps to try and protect my health for the future, and you can check out my other videos about that if you're interested. So, getting back to the original question, is getting older something that we can look forward to, or am I just deluded about that? So I guess it's possible that I am still deluded, but I think I've dug into this subject enough to know that my life has been getting better with each decade, and I am excited for the future. So I still conclude that getting older is fun and is something that younger people should know that they can look forward to. I've really enjoyed thinking about all the experiences that have brought me to where I am now, and you can't get that without being older. So I think let's all keep living and learning and looking forward to what might be coming next. So I hope you've taken something useful from this video, but I think that's all for this time. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!